I want to talk to Dan. Dan, in the great state of Ohio, him, my friend, this is Dan talking. My friend is autistic and theistic. Do you have thoughts on how to best converse with him on theistic topics? Dan, you're on the line with Phil and Johnny. What have you tried so far?
Hey guys, great to hear you. Longtime fan, first time caller. So we have had several talks. I guess the first time that we formally introduced to each other, there was like a whole lot of chatter around my workplace. We work together, but there was chatter going around because everybody at work knows I'm very open about my atheism.
Okay.
And people know that my friend is very theistic, so they were always kind of like, "Oh, you should watch out for Dan. You know, he's going to get you," or "Hey, watch out for this guy. He'll talk your, whatever." And we start talking, and I find out I'm the only atheist he has ever actually conversed with.
That he knows about
knowingly.
Yeah. So we've done everything from discussion. Like, he usually brings topics to me, and we've discussed everything from existence of Nephilim to the relationship of Old Testament and New Testament. Pass with him on. He's Christian fundamentalist, and he is very intolerant of Islam and Muslims. And he believes that since I'm an atheist, I'm in the same boat with him. And I've tried to explain to him that while I feel that people deserve respect, I don't necessarily believe the same thing about ideas. I believe ideas should be scrutinized. So I don't agree with Islam. I think Islam is it's just as bad as pretty much any of the other Abrahamic religions. But that doesn't mean I hate Muslims. I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate people. Just because you're a Muslim. But he's having a hard time grasping how I can not like Islam, but still be respectful of Muslims.
Sure. As human beings.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As fellow siblings of the human race, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an expert on autism. So I would imagine that talking to a non-autistic person on certain subjects is going to be a little different. Talking to humans generally, everyone's a little different. But Phil, do you have any initial thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's kind of tough. One of the things I always want to remind everybody, it's not necessarily your job. You don't have to do it. Now, if you enjoy those conversations and they can be held, I don't know, at least cordially. I don't know about productively, but cordially, that's fine. And I've had people I've done that with for years. And every once in a while, I'll run into someone that I don't know, it just sucks the life out of me because what they believe I feel is so painfully wrong that I can't do it. So sometimes I'll just excuse myself from a conversation. I once had a neighbor who was a minister, and I don't remember, Anglican or something like that. He and I would have a great time talking about the Norse gods and the Greek gods and what a joke they were and how they weren't really real. And as soon as I crossed over a little bit of line where I compared Jesus' story to other ancient religions, he lost all humor. It was no longer funny because for him, it's not a belief. For him, it is reality. So, keep that in mind that you don't have to do this. But, like we've talked about with other callers, maybe if you want to do battle using the Bible as the club, it's sometimes great fun. I take a lot of inspiration from Robert Green Ingersoll. If you've never heard of him, you could check him out. He was an orator, 130 years ago, had a lot of clever things and clever ways to look at the Bible. And I just actually finished Thomas Paine's Common Sense, where he talks about the evils of religion. Now, he is a deist, so he thinks there's a creator God that started everything, because duh, of course there is. But when he talks about Christianity, he just rips it a new one from every angle. So, broadening your understanding of what Christianity is and all the different ways that people through hundreds, if not thousands of years have saw how poor it is. Maybe that could put you on a better footing if you feel the need and you have the desire to have those arguments. Is that helpful in any way?
Yeah, you know what? That was extremely helpful, because I'll tell you, the very beginning when you said, you would have conversations with your neighbor about the Norse gods and the Greek gods.
Yeah.
Well, me and my friend, he likes to talk about that a lot. We actually have a lot of conversations. And then, once I start showing comparisons from certain deities and certain things that happen in that mythology to Christianity, the humor completely goes away, just like you said.
It's tough. If you've studied the Bible some, it's really easy to use the Bible and what it says against, I don't know, your adversary, your friend who you're talking with. But because you can argue literally anything from the Bible and take one position versus the opposite position just by taking things. And of course, the answer is always going to be, well, you're taking that out of context. Well, how do you know what the context is? Why are there 20 different thousand types of Christianity if the Bible's so easy to understand?
We have had those conversations to a certain extent. It's kind of hard for us to fit everything in, because the only times we really have a chat at work is about a half hour Monday through Friday, or Sunday through Friday, when I'm taking my lunch break. And sometimes he gets, I'm trying to be a good friend to him, not just because I'm trying to represent atheism or an atheist well. I've seen what other people at my job have done to this individual, and they use the fact that he's autistic to make fun of him or to get him to say things or do things that,
Well, I just had another thought. From back many years ago when I used to have a normal job and work for a company, one of the things I used to like to do was have a better understanding of the person and where they're coming from, and see if you can get them to move one small step in your direction. So, for example, someone that was very religious and did not accept evolution, I would not go into atheism or to be an atheist, but I would find them books written by Christians that promote the idea of evolution and why it works and why it might be a representation of God's will and God's effort, and God made it. And so you didn't do anything with the religion part, but maybe you moved them one step more towards accepting science. So that could be productive, because if you just want them to flip from where they are to where they're going to be, that's rough. That often doesn't happen, and it's usually a much longer process. So maybe there's something on the fringe that you can find that they accept that you don't think is helpful for them in understanding how the world works, and work on that little piece, and maybe just the smallest improvement in how they evaluate the world and evidence around them might be enough. That might be what you can do. That might be your small contribution on helping humanity improve.
Yeah. I think another thing.
That sounds like a great idea.
Dan, you might also, you might have already done this, but fuck your coworkers. Don't actually fuck them, but like fuck them for being shitty. And trying to make a joke out of this person, because that's just terrible. Are any of them your friends?
No. This is a group of very proud QAnon truck drivers that have made some very extraordinary claims that I have told require extraordinary evidence, and according to them,
any
I am
evidence
of the devil. I am, So
you're of the devil.
Party to that.
That's tough.
But yeah, that sounds like some really great advice, because I think one of the issues we're having is he's not very good on subtlety, and neither am I. So I think what we're both doing is kind of hammering each other with these really big topics and these really big questions. And I think baby steps, like what was just said, is might be the better route to go.
Woohoo. Yeah, I like it.
Plans within plans, wheels within wheels. The Guild Navigator said it best. But just a small thing, just to nudge that asteroid off course and into Earth's yellow sun. But yeah, and keeping in mind that this person is the term neurodivergent. I believe that is the term, but is autistic. Will have slightly different ways of approaching it that maybe you and I and Phil might have. Bearing in mind that, that subtle approach, being quite honest and open that you're talking about it, but sharing that information, and I hope that you are successful. Bullying in the workspace. I used to work with a dude who claimed that as a Catholic, he was discriminated against at his government job. And I was like, okay. And he gave me examples of people pushing back on him making statements, right? And it created for him a hostile work environment. I thought that was interesting, how people in his club kind of call the balls and strikes when it comes to laws and what have you. And yet he's the one being discriminated against. But with that said, if somebody in his office was ragging on him for believing in transubstantiation and that people with giant hats have any kind of authority over us, I can see how that would feel that way. But yeah, I think a subtle approach, a compassionate approach, and you got this conversation going on. Again, I was going to say this to the last caller. Make sure that you know that this person. Let's give this person a name. All right, we've already taken Clyde. You got a name that we can call this person? Just as I'm about to let you go.
Let's just call him Dale.
Dale. Make sure Dale is totally plugged in and really wants to have these conversations too, because it could feel like a kind of bullying if it's not done in the right way. I'm not an expert on autism, but I don't want Dale to get a bad taste in Dale's mouth if you're having these conversations and it might be perceived, and I'm not saying it is, but it might be perceived as a kind of unwelcomed conversation topic. So make sure you're extra careful about that, especially in the workplace, man. So
it's happened to where people have eavesdropped on us, and now all of a sudden I'm not just talking to my friend. Now I'm debating the mob in the break room now too, and I'll fully admit it. I'm a very passionate person, and at times when I have these debates with people, it can be perceived as me becoming angry or aggressive, and it's literally just the fire inside me burning to talk about this stuff, and it can come. I would see a person like him may see that as being overly aggressive or bullying, and I'm trying to work on keeping that level down.
I don't know what the recording laws are in Ohio. Okay, I don't know what they are. I don't know if it's a 2-party consent law or it's a 1-party consent law in Ohio. But if it's a 1-party consent law, I would want to record myself while I'm having these conversations, if it's a 1-party consent law, and then listen back on what I said, right? Because you're in the heat of the moment. You're covered in rhetorical blood. You're swinging your axe of reason to these folks, and you want to know how you come off, and you want to also polish that. So if you can record it for your own purposes, not to use against them, but to use to help you to be more effective, you might do that. Watching yourself being recorded is a very good way of finding out what a dipshit you are. Or how awesome you are, idea. I guess, hypothetically. But Dan, give that a try. Figure out what the law is in your community, and I'm going to let you go. Thank you for calling in. You take care. All right.